Let's go to find the problem. As you can see, we have a problem on the daylight part, and we need to come back the parts that we added the daylight. And also, if you read the description of error, you easily find that there is a, we use a component that we cannot use in for Energyplus engine. So let's go to this part. If I remove the daylight illuminate set point from the threshold, Energyplus zone threshold, you can find the problem easily solved. And it's because this component, the threshold component, mostly used for open studio and not for Energyplus engine. So please let's back and as you can see, the problem solved. As you can see, the daylight problem and those type of the problem solved because we cannot use this component, the threshold component, as a setting point daylight. So if you find another problem for daylight, you need to come back to the loads part, and because it's another parts that we added daylight. So if you get error for daylight, you need to come back the parts that you add daylight, because your error came back on a daylight problem. So let's go for another types of the problem. As you can see, we have different type of the problem. One of them came back using a duplicate name. It means when you name the surface on zones part, you need to pay attention about the naming the surface. If you have a duplicate name, you got mostly you will get this error. So I need to come back and solve this problem as well. I have another problem as well. As you can see, the honeybee told me they cannot recognize the surface correctly, and we need to come back on a zooming part, because on that part we added the surface, and we named the surface. So let's go back on first check the floor and how many times we use the name of the floor for the surface. As you can see, we have now we have two name, the same name for two different surfaces. So this problem came back of naming wrongly the surface. We need to change, for example, one of them to floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, because it's difficult for a honeybee to recognize which part is correct, which surface is and is correct, its floor, because it's the same name and it's difficult to analyze it. Came back on the second problem. The second problem came back on recognizing surface. We need to recognize all of surface to the honeybee. If we use this way for zoning and add, for example, and add windows with this way, honeybee cannot recognize each surface separately. So we need to use the second way, this way, and separate all of the surface to help the honeybee to recognize all the surface. As you can see, it's the whole of the surface, and it is exactly the for bedroom, as you can see. And we use this method for adding the window to the our bedroom, but it cause recognize the honeybee cannot recognize its surfaces separately, so it means we need to you know mm, break all the surface and name all of them, and then add windows to the walls, and to exterior walls and other things. So I use the composition component, the compose component for HP zones. As you can see, you can find it is tab number 0 in Honeybee Legacy, and then break all of the surface. As you can see, there is a different types of the way that you can break the one zoom. You can find some ways that I explained before in previous tutorials. I use this way, because it's the most fastly, because it's so fast and so easy to add it. And if you want to, for example, have a special window, you need to go back to those tutorials and find which way is better way for you and for your project to add the windows. So I use this this process because it's so fast for me, and it's not important for me to have a special windows for this special zoning, and because it's just sample project to show how you can analyze thermal comfort. We need to do this process for those zoning that we didn't do it before. For them, so and also it's be careful to name all of this surface carefully, because as I show you, the honeybee, make it's for honeybee is difficult to recognize the surface with the same name. It's important to have a different name and separate name for have a separated name for all of the surface. So please be careful to name correctly each surface. I did all this process for each zone, as you can see. And name correctly. did the process for all of the zoning. I separate all of the surface in each zone, for each zone. As you can see, you can use another way and another way to break the surface in each zones. You can come back on my previous tutorials and learn different ways that you can do it and add the windows. Let's go to I came back to uh, the thermal comfort analysis. We just add HP zones to HP zones. This lets me know to do a little bit faster. So let's go to start running. Let's go to start learning. After adding all of the HP zone for each zones to the process. So we got another error. One of them came back to the air. We have just one error. It came back on air wall. We need to came back and change the name because it told us there is a duplicate for air wall. We have duplicate. We have air wall for dining room and also for the corridor. We need just go to the air wall in dining room and it's the air wall, and let's go to the corridor and change the name of the air wall on that part to air wall, from air wall to air wall number 1. It is important to follow the description of the errors and solve it. Some of the times, most of the times, you can solve the problem by yourself, but some of times it's difficult, but I am sure you can do it. We got another problem. It's about interior wall. Just read the description. So one of them came back on the material. We need to change the material name or enter correctly the material names, and for both of them I think we need to do just go to the material names. We have a interior Venus wall 2. We just need copy and paste exactly the same I wrote before. Maybe it's it is the problem. We need to exactly enter the name of the material exactly the same and the way we added to the library. So we cannot, for example, use another name because the honeybee cannot recognize this the material exactly is the same as material that the name. So it's important to add the name correctly. We got another problem. Let's go toward another problem. What is the problem? The problem came back on wall number 2 and wall number 3. So it seems it's about the material, but I don't think so. It's came back the material. Just let me know. I think we add correctly the name. I don't think so there's a problem. Came back on it because we exactly the same. So let me know, check, over check it. I think it's correct. Yeah, it's correct. Maybe it's came back on a naming surface. Please let me know to check it, but we don't use the exterior wall manually to the, so yeah, let me know to read the description again. It's the problem came back on wall 2, 1, 2 and wall 3. I think it's better to check the name of the surface as well. Maybe I made a mistake on that part and duplicate. I have a duplicate, for example, wall 3 or wall 2, 1, duplicate name. So let's go to check the name, floor wall 3. It's the first wall 3 because we research about wall 3. We have one wall 3 and their wall is correct. Wall 2, 1. It's the problem. Wall 2, 3, wall 2, 1 or wall 3. Maybe we named it duplicate name for both of them. And it's correct. Wall 1. Oh, we have two wall 3. So we need to, as you can see, it's the wall 3 and it's the wall 3. We have two wall 3. We need to change it. As you can see, it's the wall 3, it's the wall 3. I change it to wall 3 to wall 30, one of them. So as you can see, it's wall 3 and another one is wall 30. So let's go for, let's see. So we are done. We did it. Super happy. Let's go for visualizing our result.